I'm not hearing anything. I'm turned off this way. You can monitor where you want it to go up here on your ears.
Oh, there we go.
High, low.
On and 10. One of the sides on that headphone is lower than the other.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there you go, your volume. Yeah.
you'll hear the music cue.
Okay, is it, you sure it's going? Your thing is going?
Points you win.
This is Saturday Morning Live, sponsored by Asset Advisors LLC and Linden Sheet Metal on KGMI News Talk 790, 96.5 FM in Bellingham, and KGMI.com.
Well, good morning and welcome to Saturday Morning Live. My name is Becky Taylor, and you are about ready to listen to a show that I don't think you've heard it on our Saturday Morning Lives yet before. I am live in the studio this morning with two lovely women, actually three, one is off camera, and here as a support group, but I have Kristin, Carron, and Ashley Wines this morning in the studio with me. And these two women have been in a situation that maybe some of you, if you are local, have heard about. And Ashley's fiance and Kristin's brother was one of the many people in our county, in our nation, that had gotten COVID. And as a result of it, were brought to one of our local medical facilities, and just to get oxygen and maybe to get some steroids for his lungs, and he never came home. And this protocol that took place in this young man's life has been happening all over the nation at this time, and there are many absolutely unnecessary deaths that have taken place at the hands of many medical facilities all over our nation. And it is time to talk about this. And so if you have been today, if you're listening, whether you're listening on screen with me today on my Facebook Live, Becky Taylor on Facebook, or if you're listening on the radio, please share this, kgmi.com live stream, because you can listen to it anywhere in the nation, or share it on your wall if you know someone that has gone through this experience, because everybody needs to know what these young women are going to talk about. Ashley Wines' fiance is in the medical world, and so she's a lot of experience with the medical side of this, and she's going to really be talking. And you guys, this show is going to go lightning fast. So we want to be able to get to you as much information, because COVID is not leaving us, and neither are these killer protocols. And we want you to be made aware. So Ashley, we have a purpose, because you've gone and shared, and you've been on a couple different podcasts now, because there is a purpose to why you want to even share this. It's not just because, well, we're mad and we're a family and we want revenge. Trust me, people need revenge right now for what's taking place. What is your purpose for both of you girls for wanting to share this with your world and with others?
We really just want to educate people. We were not aware of the protocols. We were not aware of what was going on. There was so many families before us that they would have spoken up and stood up and said, this is what happened to my loved one. We would have been more prepared to go inside. We would have had the resources. We would have been ready.
So really the purpose behind it is you didn't know what the hospital was going to be doing with Phil when he went in. Now you do. And I knew people that had gone into the hospital with COVID and came out feet first. And it was a horrific experience. And what you're saying is, if I had known. So you guys, today, this is a if I had known program. And they're going to be giving you information that is so valuable that you need to know that if you have a loved one that needs to go to the hospital or needs a protocol, you need to know this before you bring them in. So this is what this is all about today. So they're both going to be sharing a little bit of the story, but Ashley being in the medical world and having the understanding and talking and being a part of this whole process in a little more medical way, she's going to be really, Ashley's really going to be talking about this. So, Ashley, first of all, we want to hear about what was the most important thing. So tell us kind of what happened when he went in, and let's kind of just start laying the foundation, and we're just going to go from there.
Yeah. So Phil actually went to the hospital on September 23rd. He had very minor symptoms. He actually woke up that morning and made himself breakfast. Later in the afternoon, he just wasn't looking that great, so we took him to the hospital.
So,
Kind of what happened after that was a whirlwind of events. Now, Phil was 32 years old. He had no underlying conditions. He wasn't taking any medications. There was nothing essentially wrong with Phil besides he did have, he was overweight, which most of us are.
so going into the hospital, you went in just expecting that you felt that his oxygen levels were a little bit low. Is that correct?
Yeah, his oxygen was dipping down a little bit low that evening once he got a little tired.
Mm-hmm.
So our kind of game plan was we're gonna go in the hospital, let's get you some oxygen, let's get you some fluids, maybe get you a steroid. A steroid sounds great. I really didn't even think they were going to admit him because he didn't look that ill.
No, we were,
He walked himself
yeah.
into the hospital.
it was shocking that he was admitted.
So, why do you think he was actually admitted? Because his oxygen levels were low, or kind of talk about that a minute? Because people that go in now, he had to walk in alone,
Yes.
and that's what's happening, you guys, right now. That's a big part of the story. Is that when you are going into the hospital or you're bringing a loved one into the hospital, they're going in alone, and so when you go in alone, you're left to you and the doctors. So why is it important when somebody is going into the hospital that they have an advocate, and how legally they need an advocate going into the hospital? What did you find out as a result of that?
You need an advocate. You need someone that's going to stand next to you that understands what's going on or able to answer questions. When you're by yourself, your stress level goes through the roof. You have no family there. You have no support there. You don't know what to ask. You are just in full-blown panic mode. You need an advocate there. If you're not able to get an advocate, the hospital can actually administer you an advocate. We tried doing that. They denied it.
So what does that mean, administer an advocate? I had not heard that before.
So the hospital actually has an advocate system where you can call. Our local hospital is a 1-800 number.
Oh my goodness.
And there was no advocate available.
All right, so now there's not an advocate available, so you've got to become the advocates. But there's a, Phil is a grown adult, so he's in there. And it doesn't matter if you're a grown adult or not, you need somebody there looking over your shoulder. And he's not feeling well, right? I mean, he walked into the hospital, but he's not feeling well. And he has COVID, so that's part of the deal. He has COVID. And I just want to say something. We're going to talk about being vaccinated or not vaccinated. And so for those of you listening or watching, this is not about being anti anything of vaccination. This isn't a vaccination conversation here. But there is a stigma around being vaccinated or not in the hospital. So talk about that a little bit, because was Phil vaccinated?
No, Phil was not vaccinated.
And he had made that personal choice.
He made the personal choice. He followed the math. He followed the statistics and said, you know what, I'm okay. I already had previous exposure. I'm okay. I'm gonna hold off for now. When he went into the hospital, actually going back through his medical notes, you can see that there was a lot of very clear judgment because he was unvaccinated. Right when you actually look at his administration paperwork from down in the ER before they admitted him, they actually told him that he was going to have a poor outcome inside of his medical records. That was the night he walked into the hospital. He walked into the hospital and they told him he was going to have a poor outcome because he was unvaccinated.
So
they already set the stage.
So Kristin, do you want anything to say about that particularly?
Oh gosh, there's a lot I could say about that. I just think it's unfortunate, he made that choice not because he didn't believe in it. It was just kind of I don't think so right now for me. It's not for me. And the fact that, he's walking in and able to walk in and talk and fully, able to do everything. He's not, in any way super compromised, but, and to say, oh, he's not vaccinated, so he's going to have a poor outcome when he was fine is.
So right there, you know, as they walk into the hospital, we're at break. All right, you guys, we're at break right now. Thank you so much. You don't have to knock on the window because I'm doing a Facebook Live in this. So we'll be right back. We've got so much more to say. Okay, guys.
You're a little cut off.
What's that?
You're just a tiny bit cut
Okay.
off.
So you guys, first of all, please feedback for me. Can you hear the conversation that's going on over here? Because we have to be on the microphone. So,
Bob said it was sounding good.
I know.
it's sounding good on the. Okay, so we just want to make sure that you guys are hearing. If you have questions, please let us know. And thank you, Liberty Road mentioned by the people who give the World Organization Authority over your. I was reading that right now.
Hey.
Okay. Thank you for that. I don't know if I'll have time, but thank you for mentioning it on here.
Sounds
So,
good.
yeah. Okay. Great, you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. And you guys, if you have questions on here, I have a great friend. She's going to be watching questions. So if you have specific questions for Kristin or Ashley about what took place, let us know, and we'll try to do this. Hi, Pam. It's good to see Colette, Alice, Lynn. Can hear you, but can hear guests a little less. So, okay, we want to make sure we hear all of you. So we got to talk to the microphone for the radio part, but talk loud for them. Yeah,
I was
but
gonna
talk.
say, Becky, do you want to put it like this way so you guys don't have to turn around? Do you want to put the ring light over here?
Well,
Over this way.
It might be better. You
To go
totally
this
for me,
way.
it was weird. I was looking at the back of your head when I was talking.
You're gonna still be looking at the back of my head, I'm afraid.
How much time you got?
We're let's see.
We can do it next break. We have
Okay.
about 20 seconds.
Okay, so
Okay, and then this is when I dive in.
what's that?
This is where we're diving.
Yeah, we're diving. Okay. So let's
Just
go.
remember the mic, you guys.
Yeah, close to the mic.
Yeah.
You don't have to be like right up on it, but just like,
Does it go from the side?
You
as well?
do great, Becky. I mean, we just couldn't hear actually.
Okay.
We can hit it.
My bad.
I've got a big booming
I
voice.
have a
Unintended.
She's used to the
I have a
radio.
booming voice too.
Yeah.
So. Bob's saying maybe cluster closer together. All right, we are back on KGMI, and I am in the studio with Ashley Wines and Kristin Carron, and this is the fiance and sister of Phil Carron, who in his memory, we are doing this show today to make others aware. And one thing that both, especially sister said, she's like, if it was me, Phil would be out here shouting. He would be out here telling the story, and this is what he would want them to be doing right now, is to make everybody aware, because this young man had a huge heart. So we are here to bring awareness and know that there are also resources and websites that are out there right now, that if you have been a victim of this kind of abuse in a medical facility, protocolkills.com. If you want to read more about it, please write that down. I will also put it in the chat later, so it's going to be probably buried in a lot of conversation, but protocolkills.com. And then another one where Ashley was interviewed, formerfedsgroup.org. Write that down, formerfedsgroup.org. And these group of individuals are legally putting together cases all over America. That's why I'm streaming it live, because this is relevant for any of you around America today. If you know someone, if you've heard of someone, or if this is a friend, a family, you need to get onto that and get a hold of them. So Ashley, let's dig in, because there was a lot of important info that took place while they were at this local medical large facility in Bellingham that we won't mention the name of, and what took place while Phil was there. And Ashley has got details. She was privy to his medical records, but that even took a long time to get, but she was able to get in and see charts. She talked with nurses. So Ashley, she's going to bring us through this absolutely chilling story of what actually took place, because I believe you need to hear this, of what kind of things were taking place in this young man's life in this facility. Go ahead, let's just begin.
So as we know, Phil went into the hospital in the evening of September 23rd. It wasn't actually until September 28th, after I got yelled at by a nurse essentially that me and my mother requested medical records and we requested access to see what was going on. That was the day before you got intubated. When I got into his medical records, I actually saw the day after he was administrated that they were gonna discharge Phil. During the discharge education, they asked Phil if he wanted to get vaccinated. Phil said, no, I'm okay, thank you. Later on that evening, they administered him morphine. Next morning, he gets sent to the ICU.
Just wait a minute. So this is day what?
This is day 2.
Day 2,
Yeah.
he walks himself into the hospital.
Mhm.
He's now got it admitted after they already said, well, this is not going to turn out so well for you because he's not vaccinated.
Yeah.
It's only day 2 and they're giving him morphine?
Yes.
What?
Well, and after they said
Powder.
he was being
Just
prepared to
for
be
this.
discharged. So there was actually a time when the doctors went in and were giving him discharge education. And they said, you know, do you intend to be vaccinated now? And he said, well, no, I don't think I should. I mean, I've had it now, so I don't think I need it. And, you know, no. And so the first thing in that chart note that Ashley saw was patient does not intend to vaccinate. And the next morning he was sent upstairs to the ICU after they had administered her morphine.
And he was labeled imminent risk of death.
Imminent risk of death upon entering the ICU.
I'm kind of speechless. I mean, it's chilling. This is chilling. So now he's day 3.
Mm-hmm.
They gave him morphine on day 2 that he didn't need.
Yeah.
They put him in the ICU. Well, because what's morphine doing to him now?
It's depressing his respiratory drive. He's not, when you take morphine, it depresses your respiratory drive. So essentially, it makes it harder to breathe. So of course, if you're in respiratory distress and you give him morphine, he's gonna go further into respiratory distress. He's gonna need more and more oxygen, he's gonna need more and more help. There was no need for morphine, he wasn't in pain. I was with him for a whole week while he was sick before he went to the hospital. There was no pain, not a pain level of morphine.
Wow. So now he's in ICU. So talk to us what took place. I'm in awe that he would even need to go to ICU. So what is another protocol that was taking place that they're trying to push on him? So let's just keep going. Let's talk about this.
Right from the moment he went to the hospital, they were wanting him to take remdesivir. Phil said, no, I don't want to take remdesivir, thank you. I want to just go ahead and stick with liquids, vitamins, and some supplemental oxygen. I'm okay. They were pushing that left and right. As I was checking in on Phil, and I was calling the nurses station, they kept saying, he's refusing treatment, he's refusing treatment. And I'm like, no, he's just refusing that one drug. He doesn't want to take it. He doesn't want to take it, leave him alone. Once he got to ICU, they started giving him Persidex. If you're not familiar with Persidex, it's a sedative that they use during surgical procedures.
And what surgical procedure were they planning on doing?
I don't know.
That's a
That's
good
a great
question. Yep.
But shortly after that is when they did administer remdesivir.
Yeah.
So talk to us about how they got permission, how they even went about being able to give it when he had clearly told them no.
It's very, very clear in his medical records that he did not want remdesivir. It is repeated like 10 times in his medical records that he does not want this drug. No. But all of a sudden he gets to ICU, they give him Persidex, they get him,
Morphine, sedatives.
Just, Phil did not take drugs, Phil did not drink alcohol, he was an old soul at heart.
Well,
Those are 2 big drugs
Mm-hmm.
for him. So he was clear, he was not in his clear mind when he said yes to remdesivir, or did they even ask him? I don't know.
We don't know.
Okay, so we'll just take a moment here because many of you watching and many of you on this understand and already know about remdesivir, but there may be a few of you that don't. I want you to explain what we know about remdesivir now and what it's doing to these people's bodies. What do they think it's supposed to do, but what's it actually doing?
It's an antiviral, that's what it is. There's been lots of studies done for this drug, and I want to say right now it's at 54% of people who take it die. It causes kidney failure. When your kidneys fail, you start to back up fluids. So essentially you drowned because your lungs start filling with fluid. Phil actually, the very first dose he had, so it's a 1 of 5 doses, you get 5 doses. He took 1 single dose and his liver failed.
He had the liver of an alcoholic basically overnight.
So just to kind of give you numbers, your liver enzymes should be under 50 or right around 50. He went up to 455 after one dose. In his medical records, it actually said they stopped remdesivir because of the damage it did to his liver.
And there was no pre-existing,
No.
because
No.
people argue, well, he must have had some underlying something somewhere that it would cause to do this dramatic reaction so quickly, but no.
No, it's in the doctor's notes. The doctor wrote it.
So did they give him too much? Was it just a regular dose and it literally affected him that strong?
Regular dose. You're supposed to have a 5-day course of it. He had one dose one day,
Okay,
and that caused it. Now, once they removed it, so that was on Sunday that he actually took that dose.
day 4?
Yep, day 4 he actually took that
Okay.
dose. By the time we got to day 6, he actually started recovering. After that day he took remdesivir, he actually started to recover. His enzymes were coming down, his inflammation was coming down, his oxygen was getting better. He was rebounding from the hit he took on his liver.
Okay,
What brings us next was they intubated him.
okay, this is where I just go absolutely bat crazy.
Oh, us too.
I mean,
Yeah.
all right, so he's recovering, he's starting to rebound a little bit. Okay, and guess what? Boy, I told you we're gonna blow through this fast. Time for a break, you guys, and we'll be right back.
I'm gonna keep bugging you, but just if you talk louder, not to the mic, but because of this.
Okay.
I started to and I was like,
I
oh,
know.
I'm losing it.
Okay, this is chilling, you guys, truly. Oh my word, it's
The
absolutely
next part,
chilling.
it really just does fly past because
Okay.
Yeah.
it's just,
Okay,
this
just
is,
what
this is it. Literally hell broke out. So it's
Oh yeah, all hell broke loose.
all right. Well,
You guys are doing great.
for you guys watching, we're not done yet, obviously. I mean, we're just getting in. We got a little bit more that's going to be happening here, so that is yet to come out. I hope this makes you upset. What you're hearing right now, I hope this makes you upset because it needs to. And we need to know what is actually going on in our local hospital and these kind of protocols. So to think that he's day 4, he's rebounding, they intubate him, and the worst is not yet ahead. And I know now 3 people that have gone in should have never. They really didn't even need to go into the hospital, but they did because they were concerned and they never left. And this is why we're sharing this. So, so it is chilling, Ruth, to say the very least. And to Kim, it is shocking, and we need to know about this. So, yeah, thanks, Alice. Yeah, we all need to be upset about this, and we need to hear the truth of what's happening in our own local facility that I will never go to. By the way, so but we can't name names because there is other stuff happening. Thank goodness. So thank you guys for sharing this to your walls. Thank you guys for making everybody work. This is not a Bellingham Whatcom County issue. This is a national issue. And thank you for those of you that are watching. And I'm so sorry for those of you that have also experienced the loss they have. But we're here to make it aware. So this is a national issue right now. And there's a lot more going on nationally, so read through every comment, everybody, because there is something up there that you guys need to know about that's happening in the Biden administration with the World Health Organization. So you guys need to know about that too. It's chilling, to say the least. But this is America, you guys. This is America. Hold the line.
Hold the line.
Okay, good. We got about 1 more minute. Okay.
Okay.
I figure what she'll do is if she, because they intubated Phil obviously next, Phil called her first and then he called me and my mom. And me and my mom were the ones that the nurse yelled at and refused all this, right? And then,
So that just before he intubated.
He called Mom and I.
Okay, so that's where we're gonna start. I'll say, Kristin, take us from just before the intubation, and then you guys will just work on. This is a longer stretch.
sorry, for me it's so different than not looking at people. I'm
Yeah.
like, what's the talk next?
I know, right? I know. Okay, well, I'm just kind of
I'll just tap you if
You
I
guys
have
are doing
to.
good
Yeah.
now.
Ready?
Just talk loud.
Okay.
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Okay, just get one ear on, one ear off, so we can kind of hear each other.
And as best you can face the.
When I hear you kind of peeping over there, I'm like, go, Kristin, so I'm kind of hearing, so keep just This is all perfect. What exactly how we're flying, it's working great.
Okay.
Linda Val said, love you, Ashley and Kristin.
Who said that?
Linda Val? Valley?
Oh,
Back in 10.
Linda.
No, please, keep it fun. Totally fine.
Abby Michael with Planned Parenthood helped organize that one. CBS News special report.
Got myself moved out of the. Only because I moved.
You want me
I don't need to be seen that much. It's
Are you good? Do you want me to move the thing?
All right, we are back in the studio again. My name is Becky Taylor, and thank you for joining us this morning on Saturday Morning Live. I think this is probably one of my most chilling and emotional days that I have had yet as a radio host for you, and I hope that this is disturbing you as much as it has disturbed us. And this is not to make you angry and mad, but it is to make things known. So where we left off is we're on day 4. Phil is up in the ICU and he's about ready to get intubated, and he decides that he wants to call mom and sister. So Kristin, what happened that day?
So Phil was actually intubated, I believe, after a week in the hospital. So we're kind of sped up to about day 7 now. But he called mom and I, and she just said, hey, you know, how you doing? And he said, well, I've been better. They're going to intubate this afternoon. And mom said, well, how do you feel about that? And he said, well, they told me it's my only chance to survive.
But he's talking to you.
But
How- Come on.
Through a BiPAP, when he moved upstairs, they were switching in between a heated high flow oxygen and a BiPAP, which is essentially like I think Ashley explained it to me, it's like essentially a ventilator, but it doesn't.
Yeah, it's a non-invasive ventilator.
yeah.
It's a mask that goes over your face that helps you.
So, but he's able to form full sentences, and he's a little labored, but he's still able to speak and all of that. But that's what they told him. They said, you know, well, you're gonna die if we don't do this.
And is he still drugged by now?
Oh, I'm
yes,
sure.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so, all right, so now he knows he's gonna get intubated. He didn't want to get intubated.
No.
But they made him think that was his only way to survive?
Correct.
So what does an intubation actually do then, supposedly?
An intubation breathes for you. It's an intracheal tube that goes down your throat and into your lungs, and it breathes for you. It's a machine that's all it does. It breathes for you.
But he was breathing for himself.
Correct.
So talk to us now, Ashley, about the steps that took place, because this is where it gets really ugly.
Yeah.
So the morning before he got intubated, I messaged him. I sent him a text message saying, hey, you know what? I talked to your nurse. Everything's looking good. Your liver's coming down. Your inflammation's coming down. Your oxygen's looking better. You do have an infection coming on. So let's talk to your doctor about getting you on some antibiotics. When you talk to your doctor this morning, you can call me. Never got a phone call until later on that afternoon when he called me after he spoke with Kristin and Pam to let me know that he was going to be intubated.
So talk to me about the infection, though, because how did the infection take place? Why did he even get an infection? He's in a hospital. Aren't hospitals supposed to be clean?
Yeah. Personally, I think it was probably like a bacterial pneumonia coming on. His white blood cells started to increase, and so that's what led me to think that he was having an infection coming on. Just get him on a broad spectrum antibiotic, or take a test, do something. All I just said was, hey, your doctor's going to see this. Your doctor's going to see your white blood cells are increasing. They don't need me to tell them that. But when you do see your doctor, can you mention that? Let's get you on some antibiotics right away, because you're already you're in a delicate state. Let's get you on some antibiotics.
At that point, it was almost more preventative than anything.
It wasn't full blown infection yet. He wasn't actually in like a red limit. So when you look at lab numbers, there's a low number and there's a high number. He was always sitting in the middle, but he started to go high, which showed me that he had an infection coming on.
So here you are an advocate in the hospital for him, helping him to instruct the doctors what to do. The doctor should know what to do, first of all.
Yes.
For those of you that are listening, I mean, they should already know what to do, but they're not. They're not watching this. You're watching the charts and helping Phil to help them. So do you see why you got to be your own best medical advocate, or have somebody there to be advocate for you? To be honest, I don't know if I would trust the 1-800 number for somebody to be an advocate for me. I want Ashley there looking over my charts. I mean, wow.
They were very, very upset that I had access to his online health records.
Oh yeah.
They were very, very upset. So when Phil called me and tell me that he was going to be intubated, I said, wait, what's going on? I stated off everything that I had stated that morning in a text message, and he's like, well, what do you mean?
He had no idea he was
He had
improving.
no idea. He was improving. At this point, the nurse takes the phone out of his hands, leaves the room, and yells at me that I have no idea what I'm talking about. How do I have access to this information?
Oh,
I'm not at the bedside. I have no idea what's going on. I don't see how he's struggling. He's terrible and he's gonna die.
oh my God. Oh my God. Okay.
Then she hung up on me.
Yeah.
She hung up on me after this. Oh, but actually, part of this before she hung up on me was we requested for a second opinion. In the state of Washington, you are allowed a second opinion. So I told Phil, you have a second opinion.
You have the right
me and
to
my
a
mom are
second
screaming
opinion.
on the phone at this nurse. We're just like trying to get Phil's attention. Like, you have a second opinion. Ask for your second opinion. The nurse said, yes, he does have the right to a second opinion, but we don't have time for that.
Oh my God. So he's not getting one.
So he's not getting one.
So, how many of you actually see something very disturbing with what's going on in the hospital, with family, with the patient? When I was little and my parents were in the hospital, we went into the hospital and we just relied on these beautiful little nurses in their white caps that they're going to just take care of us, and they really cared about our bodies and what was going on. This is not the case, people, with COVID-19 and their protocols in the hospitals right now. This is the message. This is the purpose. This is what we need you to know, because this is happening. Hundreds of thousands of people have died at the hands of nurses and doctors like this. So continue this conversation, because now they've ripped the phone out of Phil's hands, which they had no right to do.
No.
First of all, and then they're saying that they don't have time to get a second opinion. Excuse me, they don't have the judgment to make.
And we told Phil, if this is what you're going to do, you need to assign a POA. You need to assign someone to speak on your behalf when you cannot speak for yourself. They denied him signing POA paperwork for me and instead let it automatically default to next of kin, which was his mother.
Yeah, they refused to let him. We sent the paperwork to the hospital, and they said we didn't let him sign it.
Because so we have a sister, mom's not here, but she's listening. Mom and sister said, it's fine. Here's the medical professional of the family,
Yeah,
the fiance.
absolutely.
You be the advocate in the POA, and they denied that.
They denied it. They wouldn't even let him sign it because they don't have time for it. It's a signature. It's a signature. That's all it is. It's a signature, and apparently don't have time for it. So after all this happened, they hung up on me. I was forced to call Phil back and hopefully get an answer so I can tell him I love him before they intubate him, because I didn't know what was coming next. What happened next? All hell got loose.
Talk about that. We want to hear it all.
Oh, I don't know if we have time for all of it.
Well, we're blasting through fast. We'll have a break here in a minute, but then we have one last segment. We're going to try to blow through this. We're going to try to highlight bullet points. So just do the best you can, you guys.
So after we got Phil's full medical records, after he actually passed, is when I was able to go into what drugs they're administering. We discovered that Phil was intubated awake without anesthesia. They restrained him.
Yeah, they restrained his wrists because he kept trying to push the doctors away.
Keep going.
He was on the vent for just shy of 46 minutes before they administered anesthesia.
Can I pause, because there's something a very important fact here, that we're about day 8 now? Or day 7?
No, this is the day he got intubated.
So day 7 or 8?
It was the 20.
This is day 7
Day
because he
7.
was at the hospital for a week.
Yeah, let's talk about, because the other thing that was shocking is from then till now, how much weight had he lost?
So in the first 7 days, he had lost 12 pounds. I actually have text messages the night before he got intubated. I actually was texting Phil once I got into his medical record saying, hey, you know what, you've lost about 12 pounds. We really need to be looking at some, maybe like a magic cup. It's a really high calorie cup we typically use a lot in the hospice. So let's look at getting you one of these guys, something high calorie. Let's get some weight back on you.
Nutrition.
Your blood panels are starting to show that you actually have some malnutrition going on.
Malnutrition, according to blood panels. Oh, okay.
So that was 12 pounds. At the end of it, so once he was intubated, he was on the vent for 14 days before he passed. He lost a total of 86 pounds.
That's absolutely unnecessary. So that you needed to hear that, people, because to be in a hospital for that many days and lose 86 pounds, you are-
21 days in total, 86 pounds.
basically they starved him.
No, yeah.
You just don't lose.
There's
You don't have to
no other
lose.
way.
You don't have to lose weight just because you're intubated. Is that
No.
correct?
No, you have a feeding tube. They can give you TPN. They can give you nutrition through an IV. They did not feed him. There's no way. You can't tell me you fed him and he lost 86 pounds. You can't say that.
Yeah.
So after I got hung up on the phone when he got intubated, I actually got banned from the hospital. I wasn't allowed to even call the hospital or check up on him or nothing, even though I'm on his HIPAA release, so I have access to that information. When I finally did get to see Phil was within hours of his passing, and I was able to see what his skin was like. And you know, when you pinch your skin, if it bounces back, you're hydrated. When I pinched his skin, it stayed up for probably a good 20 seconds.
Severe skin
That's
tinting.
severe dehydration. That is severe dehydration.
So keep talking about the things that were taking place with the hospital, the staff during his intubation period, because there's still a lot going on.
There was still a lot going on. Within 24 hours of him being intubated, he was diagnosed with not only the liver failure that he was kind of rebounding from, he now was going into kidney failure, he needed dialysis, he had an infection going on, which they discovered was MRSA. So that now, because they didn't do a clean procedure, because apparently they were in a rush because he was able to talk, when they didn't do a clean procedure and gave him MRSA.
Which they were getting from a trach swab. So it was coming from the
It was
tube.
coming from the tube they put down.
Yeah.
So the tube they put down was not sterilized, but not only that, they didn't even medicate him or sedate. Well,
Yeah.
they didn't. They basically they shoved something into his body.
He was awake.
Yeah. And part of this too, after he passed, when we were getting ready for the celebration of life, we went through his phone to get pictures, and we discovered that the nurse that hung up on me, the nurse that last had his cell phone in her hands, took pictures of him in his bed, about 10 feet away from his bed,
With his own phone.
with
Yes.
his own phone.
Why would she do that?
That's a
I
good
don't know.
question.
So there's two things I want you guys to address because that we talked about earlier, and one is that when Phil I think first going, so it has to go back a little bit because I see a note here. Talk about ivermectin. You asked
Yes.
the hospital specifically. So talk about that.
So right when we got to the hospital, they instantly wanted to push remdesivir on to Phil. Phil said, nope, I don't want remdesivir, but can I please have ivermectin or hydrochloroquine? They kept saying, nope, it's not NIH protocol. But it is. If you go on the NIH, on Form 2E, the NIH actually does approve ivermectin for the COVID protocol. It's approved by the NIH.
And that's the that was
That's
the
the
issue.
protocol the whole way through. They're like, we can't deviate from the protocol.
We're not deviating
Can't
from the
deviate.
protocol.
But yeah, we were requesting.
Another break. Okay, see what I'm talking about? This is going so fast. We're gonna have our last break and we have just a few minutes left. We'll see you in a minute. So I want you to blow up eyes in for
Okay,
us.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I think I was gonna say we have to hit protocol and we have to hit
I want you to
every time that we requested something that wasn't,
Yeah, so I think
it was denied,
well,
yet they deviated from protocol.
That was me bringing up nitric oxide where they
Yes.
overdosed him.
Yet they deviate from
Say that again.
protocol.
So we were fighting this protocol the whole way through, right? Fighting. Once we got medical records and I started diving deep, the drug they overdose on Phil is actually not recommended.
It's not
by
on the
the
NIH protocol. It's recommended, it's against.
So, but let's just quick finish that.
Yeah.
Let's go seconds, that's it. And then just say, Inslee decreed this, and so we wanna throw him under the
So
bus.
he's definitely tied their hands,
Oh,
like,
yeah, he's
okay.
severely tired.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about that and then just finish that what you're gonna say there. And then we talked about the number one cause of death.
I'm gonna kind of delete these as I go.
I wanna give you guys a warning too, on the last one, you're gonna hear music and you have about 30 seconds to wrap up.
And that, at that point, please hand it back
Yes,
over, because then
yes.
I'm just gonna say goodbye, sign off, and And
There might be a part 2.
yeah,
And there
so-
might, yeah.
So how are you guys doing out there? Yes, Chris, they are proceeding with an attorney, and this is where the
Former Feds group and Protocol Kills have been extremely helpful in a
yeah,
lot
the
of that.
formerfedsgroup.org, formerfedsgroup.org, they are the team of people that are gathering stories from all over America right now to take action. And these are just one of many that are willing to talk about it here locally, right? And with my world, but former 10 seconds. Okay, guys, I hope you're hearing this okay, and I hope you're enjoying this. I'm not enjoying this, but it's something we need to hear. I'm enjoying it, but
And there's
All
another word we can find. Yeah, we know what you mean.
you know what you mean. You know what I mean. Well, welcome back to KGMI Saturday Morning Live. My name is Becky Taylor, and you know I'm in the studio with two amazing women right now telling the story of a very brave young man who did not survive the protocols that kill at our local medical facility here in Bellingham, Washington. And he is one of many across the entire nation. Where we left off was he asked this facility when he was admitted to the hospital for ivermectin. They said no. Talk about that a minute.
So while we were in the hospital, we were constantly fighting that this is how we treat COVID, this is the NIH protocol. We kept, this was their answer to pretty much everything, was protocol.
Yeah.
Once we actually hired an attorney while he was in the hospital, we discovered that the attorney actually told us that Inslee put a proclamation out the same week that Phil got administered to the hospital that said if any medical personnel administers or prescribes ivermectin or hydrochloroquine, they will lose their medical license.
Oh, there was a whole list of drugs, and I think some of them were antibiotics,
Yeah,
but
they were antibiotics
so
too.
he's effectively tied their hands and said, if you give any of these drugs, I will pull your medical license.
So our governor, who has no right to be tying the hands of medical professionals, tied the hands of medical professionals. So you guys check who your governors are. We need to get that man out of office, Inslee in Washington State, because he's part of the problem, a big part of the problem, but not all of it. But
Yeah, so part of this was we had to follow the NIH guidelines. The NIH guidelines with how Inslee tied their hands was you cannot administer erythromycin or
Azithromycin,
yep.
the Z-Pack.
the Z-Pack,
Yeah.
nothing to a COVID patient. You can't, it breaks NIH protocol. So while Phil's in the hospital, his white blood cell count is increasing. He has another infection going on that we're not treating. So why don't we just give him a normal, typical antibiotic like a Z-Pack? It's an $8 drug. He has a raging infection that's clearly not being treated. Let's try this. Nope.
They just said,
NIH. Nope.
we're not concerned about his white cell count.
Nope.
So you have a patient that's in the ICU in very critical condition on a ventilator fighting for his life, and you're not concerned about a secondary infection.
But they won't give it because
How does that make sense?
It's against the NIH protocol. The NIH says, nope, we don't recommend erythromycin. What was interesting is Phil was actually essentially overdosed on one drug in particular that took out the right side of his heart. That drug is against the NIH protocol.
talk about that, because you guys, this is why we're doing this show, because we want you to be aware. Write things down, listen to this again. What is the name of that drug, and why on earth would they give it to him when it's against the protocol? What was it?
I didn't really know much about this drug until all this happened, and I researched it. It's called nitric oxide. It's a vasodilator. It helps you breathe better. So in his medical records, you can see they actually made notes with each other that two doctors are bounding with each other to say, hey, you know what, let's give this a try to see if we can get him to oxygenate better. Even though it's against NIH protocol.
Which they refused to deviate from when it was our request.
So they went against protocol to give him this drug that actually would shut down half of his heart, but they wouldn't go against protocol to give him azithromycin, the Z-Pack,
Yeah.
for a white, because when your white blood cells go out of control, that is going to kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll be
So,
using
but
a
they
big
won't.
shock.
So they'll do it for that, but they won't do it for another thing. What's wrong with this picture here?
Yeah, your blood oxygen should stay below 100, right? You shouldn't go over 100. No one really goes over 100. The first time they administered this drug, he bounced up to 196.
In his oxygen.
blood
Oxygen in
oxygen.
blood.
And he sat there for at least 12 hours.
So it's over oxygenation. If you type that into Google, you type nitric oxide in there, you type in what the side effects are, the actual side effects are right-sided heart failure. It is right on Google. You don't have to dig hard to find this information.
To mention, it can also do permanent lung damage.
When we called to ask the doctors what is going on, they kept denying it. And then we would talk to other doctors. I go, oh my gosh, you know, we're so sorry. We missed this. Yes, that could be very critical to someone in his condition.
Holy cow.
Oh, yeah, the respiratory therapist said, oh no, it's safe. That was safe.
For 12 hours,
And
we
then
left him there.
2 other doctors said, no, that probably wasn't really good.
Once we hired our attorney told us once she steps in, things are going to start moving fast. We had no idea how fast. Within hours of hiring her, they gave him the drug again.
So moving fast, okay. Moving fast, I want to interpret as, oh great, yay, things are moving
Oh, no.
fast.
Mm-mm.
Listen to this, people. Listen, whether you're online watching me streaming or listening, listen. When she said things are moving fast, I want to interpret that as, oh yay, we're going to start seeing things improving. They're going to start snapping up like, uh-oh, I'm being watched. I better do better.
Oh no, they were,
Tell us-
we're being watched, but it
tell
was
us-
not, we're doing better.
Tell us what happened.
No, they gave him the drug again. His blood oxygen this time bounced up to 270.
What?
270.
Wait a minute. That's toxic levels of oxygen in your body. Keep talking. What's going on?
At this point, Phil just started to decline. They were calling us with, you know, the whole way through, they were giving us bad news, which they're telling us he's going to die from essentially day 2 in the hospital. They're telling us he's going to die.
Oh yeah.
So we've heard that Phil's going to die 100 times. So at this point, we're like, okay, like we need to see him. They kept pushing towards the end. Once we hired our attorney, they kept pushing palliative care on us. Palliative care is essentially the next step to hospice care. So essentially, it's comfort care. That's pretty much what it is. That's the best way to describe it. We kept saying no, and even our attorney was like, nope, don't sign any paperwork. She's like, now, you know, we could, of course, you can go in there and see what they have to say because you're going to meet with a doctor. Once we sat down with the doctor, it was myself, my mother, and then Pam, Phil's mom. We sat down with palliative care. We explained what was going on. We explained all of our concerns. We explained everything. She, at that point, let me and Pam up to go see Phil, and that's when we saw what they actually did to him. We could lay eyes on it. It wasn't just on paper anymore.
So, just so you that are listening or watching understand, Ashley and her mom are, they run a facility for the elderly, so they understand the end of life process, what takes place. They are medical professionals in this way. So they know what they're looking at when they see somebody at this point. So that part of the story is clear. They're not just guessing of what they're looking at. Where Pam, not only being the mom, I'm a mom of all 30 something, so this is absolutely devastatingly heartbreaking for me to even be hearing. But for medical professionals, what were you looking at when you saw that through your eyes?
It was just horrifying. But at this point, they're telling us Phil's going to die. So under the state of Washington, he actually qualifies for the right to try. The right to try. Inslee did tie the hands for ivermectin hydrochloroquine. So we didn't even ask for that. We're like, okay, we're not even fighting COVID anymore. We're fighting a serious infection. You're about to go into septic shock. Let's get you an antibiotic.
Give him
right to try.
erythromycin, something. Like,
You have the right to try if you're considered terminally ill in the state of Washington. We were denied that. Even with a letter from an attorney, we were denied the right to try.
How many of you can relate that have had these experiences in hospitals around the nation? I think there's many of you that can relate with this right now. But we're talking about Bellingham's major medical facility, you guys. Can you see how dangerous this is? I mean, what has taken place? This is absolutely.
No, Phil was not treated like a human being. He was not. He was essentially treated like an animal. It was literally like 2 days after he passed, we discovered that they stole his wallet and was trying to use his credit cards online.
they were trying to use his credit cards 4 days after he
was
died.
not treated like a human being at all during this period.
They stole his wallet.
This is a very small glimmer of what happened.
So
inside that
you can
hospital.
see why this could be several shows of what's going on. Now I'm going to blow another whistle here. I actually talked to the person. I had lunch with the person who captured texts
Yes.
between nurses from our local medical facility, these nurses, there was a group text chat, and she just happened to be a part of it. I talked to her myself and had lunch with her. She gave you those texts from these nurses at this facility. So you think you're going and getting care from, now I'm not saying all of you, them, please, I am not blanketing everybody in
Oh,
this.
gosh,
I
no.
want you to
No,
know
no.
that. I am not blanketing all of them in this particular facility. This is not what I'm talking about. So we're not saying they're all bad, let's throw out the whole baby with the bathwater.
Not at all.
There's some beautiful people that really do care, but we do have a situation that there are some serious wolves in the hen house. And talk to us about what was going on in these texts between these nurses. What were they saying?
So I already knew that there was a lot of judgmental, they discriminated unvaccinated. I already knew that.
Yep.
But once I actually saw it happening while Phil was in the hospital, reading through his medical records, you could see what nurses care, what nurses really didn't care. But once I actually read those text messages talking about how they deserve this, how they wish they would go in these camps, how everything that's coming they asked for.
They don't deserve treatment. They
Those
deserve to die.
those nurses are actually some of the nurses that touched Phil.
And how can you provide unbiased care? I don't think you can.
No. If I'm taking,
30 seconds about? Okay. Okay.
No.
I was gonna say, if I'm taking care of a lung cancer patient, do I blame them for, smoking? No, I treat them with the utmost care because they are a human being at the end of the day. You don't do that.
Okay, you guys, we're at the end of the show, and this was probably one of the most important shows that I feel for our nation, for our region. If you too have experiences, please remember the protocols, kills.com, protocolkills.com, formerfedsgroup.org. There is a link where you can get a hold of this group. If you have also experienced this with one of your loved ones, share it if you know of somebody that needs to get in this group, because we have some serious law-breaking situations going on, and that's why we can't name the facility itself or say the name, because we're hoping something takes place. You guys, bless you. God bless you. Thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you for having us.
This has been very important for everybody to hear, and all of you guys on Facebook. Thank you so much for all your, and I'm sorry for every one of you that have these stories too. This is just so heartbreaking, and I hope you share this abroad because this needs to get out. You know what, we just want to sign off here, and I'm sorry it kind of feels heavy, but God bless you all. Hold the line, you guys. Don't give up, because I still believe America will be saved.
Excellent job. There's somebody that's gonna, somebody that's gonna, they have a similar story, they're gonna reach out to you.
Okay.
Have them reach out to Ashley for sure.
Yeah.
Well, sorry to make it such a heavy day on your very last day here, but
That is okay.
can you see why it's so important?
Linda Cantway Shortly.
Huh?
Her name is Linda Cantway Shortly.
Okay. Is she local, I wonder?
No, she's just from here.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, Peyton, I'm gonna miss you, darling. And hopefully I'll probably see you in a month again. And tell me your name again.
I'm Maddie.
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 I'll ask you again.
Oh,
I'm sure it'll be a whole month by the
They're
time I
still
come
live,
back.
by the way.
Oh, hi. Sorry, guys. Oh. That's right, Word of God will clean up. You know what? Thank you guys for watching. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Ruth, Kristin, and Ashley were so brave to do this. We've got to clear out and let the next guys come. I hope this has been helpful to every one of you, and you just keep sharing and sharing and sharing. Love you all. We'll talk again. Bye.